Good morning, happy Monday. So I wanted to bring to you today a little bit about mindset because it doesn't really matter where you are on your journey. You could be eating the right thing, exercising the right way, doing all the right things, but if you're not speaking to yourself or maybe having that mindset that you need, you're kind of setting yourself up to fail. And I know this firsthand because I have done it to myself a lot, and I still catch myself doing it often. But now I know how to sort of snap out of it, I guess. And I have people around me who are really good at helping snap me out of it if they've noticed it as well. So let's talk a little bit about mindset. You don't really think much of it, pardon the pun, I guess, but you don't really think much of it when you're in action. So you're doing things like you're eating, you're walking. Have you ever been driving home and then you've got home and gone, how the hell did I just do that? I don't remember any of the trip home. It used to happen to me all the time when I was living in the city. Because sometimes we are very automatic with things and we're not actually thinking them through. Sometimes it's because maybe our head is totally somewhere else rather than where it is supposed to be. A lot of the times though, the stories that we're telling ourselves in our mind is what's kind of attributing or contributing to our actions and the way that we're feeling. So if I sort of take it back for you a little bit, and if you think of when you've been playing a sport maybe, or when you've been doing something and you miss a kick or you miss the ball, what is something that you would say to yourself in your head? I know for me, I used to go, oh, stupid girl, how could you be so stupid? But it's those little things that, yes, we do say those things to ourselves sometimes, but they're the things that are slowly, writing that story and telling us who we are. I think I'm stupid, I keep telling myself I'm stupid. How could anybody love me? How could this happen? Why, just always putting ourselves down, basically, calling ourselves names. Thinking the worst of ourselves, thinking the worst of how other people think of us. And along with those stories that we tell ourselves, we also, if we are not in a positive mind frame, it is really anything that we're doing while we're in those actions is also not in a positive mind frame. So it's like anything. If you are a happy sort of go-lucky person, then happy-go-lucky things come and you're a bit more easier about it. If you're a really high-strung person and you're constantly negative about things, then when something happens, it feels like a massive disaster because you're already in that negative kind of mindset. So I'm definitely not saying it's an easy thing to switch out of. I personally feel like it maybe come from a long line of, and I think a lot of people do. It's actually quite common. I'm in a group at the moment which is about body image, and some of the stories the ladies have shared in there are very similar things. How they were really hard on themselves because they didn't fit XYZ, or they weren't, a cookie cutter swimsuit model or whatever. So these stories that we keep telling ourselves are slowly embedded in our mind until we believe that we are worthless and that we can't lose weight. We're telling ourselves these little things. It's actually putting the blocks up for us to have success in the future. And it's so true that when you start switching those things and those negative thoughts and even the words that you say about yourself, you do start believing the more positive things that you say about yourself. So instead of saying, I'm stupid, or things like that, you can say, I'm clever. It might not suit right at that time if you've just missed a ball or something like that, but it's about changing those words that you're saying about yourself and knowing that you are worth more and deserve better. If you can't sort of love yourself and use nicer words to yourself, it is hard to think that someone else can also use nicer words to you as well. And I found with myself through a lot of relationships, because I was so hard on myself, I really just expected other people to be very hard on me as well. And even if they weren't necessarily having a big dig at me, I always thought they were, because I was so hard on myself and used to say the worst things to myself anyway. So it is really important how you choose to speak to yourself, and also what sort of tools and methods you put in place to change that mindset of yours. Instead of saying, I can definitely, I can't lose weight. I've tried everything and it just doesn't work. Nothing works. Just think to yourself, this time it's going to work because I know that I can do this. So try and change it so that it's more positive and that your affirmations are more solid and positive. And I just find that when I try and do things like this, the success and the effort that I'm putting into what I'm doing is tenfold compared to something if I'm like, this is shit, I'm going to fail. Well, you've already just failed. If we keep talking to ourselves like that and telling ourselves we're going to fail, then yes, we are. So I want you to think today about maybe some excuses or some thoughts or some negative stuff that you've got in your head. Is it words that you say to yourself if you do something wrong? Is it something that you've said to yourself because you have tried a few times to sort of get healthy and fit and it may not have worked, or you may not have been able to sustain it? What are some things that have come up for you that you might have said to yourself? Once you write them down, have a look at them and see if there's a way that maybe you could reword it to look at the positive in the situation. So there's always a positive. Yes, it annoys the shit out of people sometimes how positive I am, but I used to be a very negative person and I could never sort of see my way out of it. But this is how I got myself out. It was by changing my mindset. Really, the world didn't see me as a negative person. It was how I seen myself. So once we start changing those thought patterns and those stories that we've given ourselves or that other people have given us. So I'm going to just tell you, if when you were growing up, maybe your parents told you were stupid, maybe you were told you were fat at school, or any of those little things. Those things are weaving into your story. And if you keep buying into it and keep talking to yourself like that, then you've written that story for yourself and now you believe it. When really, a lot of that stuff that's happened, that person that called you fat, that parent that told you were stupid, maybe sometimes it's more of a reflection on them and how they're feeling at the time rather than you. So if you can fall in love with yourself and make those positive changes to your mindset and the way you speak to yourself, you'll start noticing that those negative things that people are projecting on you, they bounce off. They might not bounce off as fast as you'd like them to, but they bounce off faster because you know who you are and you love and respect who you are. So I really want you to work on that for me today, or when you get a chance. Write down those things that you're saying to yourself that aren't serving you well, the negative thoughts or the stories that you've thought, because often they're the things that are holding us back from that success. And I do want to see you succeed, because everyone deserves that, and everyone deserves to know the beautiful, amazing creation that they are. And so writing those things down and trying to change them and change your mindset into something more positive is such a powerful tool and can really help you along your journey. So write them down. If you feel like you'd like to share them, please write them in the comments below. I would love to hear them. I've given you a few of mine today. And listen, I'm not saying that, once you go positive, it's, that's it. You never think another negative thought again. Anyone who knows me knows that that's not true, because our minds are built to tell stories. And, when you're constantly in a world of different people, your mind does wander. But it's about knowing and pulling yourself up when you start telling yourself a story, or when you start speaking to yourself like that, and just switching it. So it will happen again, but it's about knowing how to change it for the future. Awesome. Well, a lot of this mindset stuff is actually in the Mind Body Wellness program that kicks off on the 4th of April. So I have put a link in the comments as well for you to check that out. But I would also love for you to share any of your thoughts with me, and maybe there's a thing that you used to have, a little thing that used to come up all the time, a negative thought that you've switched, and maybe there's also some progress. Have you progressed through it and come out the other side with some success stories? So I would love to hear that from you. Anyway, enjoy your Monday, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Bye.